We're going to be talking about 5 things you should stop asking interracial and in some cases, intercultural couples. We've been nice for a while, but now we are coming with fire. Yes. So let's get into it. What's good, people? Welcome to C2L. I'm Tom.
I'm Kalpa.
And welcome to Chennai to Lagos. Now today, I think on our channel we always come and we're always so calm and we tell stories and things.
You're like grandparents.
Today we are coming with fire. We're coming with fire. Why? Because we're going to be talking about things you need to stop asking interracial and in some cases, intercultural couples. So just a little disclaimer. These are things that if you don't really know someone like that, you shouldn't be asking, right? You shouldn't be asking immediately. Yes. I think as you begin to know people down the line, it's fine to probably bring some of these things up because then at least you've established some type of,
connection, relationship.
And we're also going to be talking from things that we have experienced ourselves, and we feel like it's time to drop some knowledge on these things so some of you don't make some mistakes. So with that said, we're going to be talking about 5 things you should stop asking interracial and in some cases, intercultural couples. So let's get into it. Number 1, stop asking people to hook you up with the race of their partner. We are not a dating site. We're not a walking dating site, and I feel to some extent it is kind of offensive. If that's what you're basing your foundation for a relationship, I think there's something a bit flawed from that. And I think we've said it many times. In fact, I don't know if I've told you this. Before we started dating, all my life, I thought I was going to marry a Yoruba girl. I felt like that's what was going to happen, And then when I came to Kenya and I interacted in Kenya a bit, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to marry a Kikuyu. That's what I thought was going to happen. But look, I am with a beautiful Tamilian, right? And at the end of the day, like, God knows what's best for you. And I feel like you need to open up your heart. And if you do, you'll be able to see a lot more that God has in store through his beautiful creation, But stop doing that. It's very offensive. It's very, very, very offensive.
Yeah. And the number of times I get asked, oh, where did you find this very nice Nigerian boy? And where can we find a very nice Nigerian boy? I don't know. I don't have a portfolio of Nigerian boys.
Maybe this is actually a business idea. Yeah, for all of you guys, we just create, find a Nigerian.
It's there.
Yeah,
if you guys are from India, there are those sites that link people. And there's Tinder and there's all those stuff, know. But we don't do that. And no interracial couple is bothered to do that. They found each other just by finding each other.
They found each other through just like, it
Destiny.
was meant to be. Like, we weren't searching for each other. We just were, we were meant to be. And I think when you start asking questions like that, you're setting precedents for a relationship that will be built on the wrong thing, because you were quote unquote looking for a white person, or you're looking for a Nigerian or an Indian. So just don't do that, man. Don't do that. Please don't do that. All right?
Number 2, stop asking what religion the couple follow. Stop. First of all, I find it such an intrusive question, even just like asking it to an individual, like, what's your religion? I find that it's kind of an unnecessary thing to be asked in this time. People have their own spiritual journeys, and some people are trying to figure things out before they can openly say what they follow. And when you're a couple, it gets even more complicated because you both have come from 2 different places in life, and there's so many things you probably haven't even talked about. And now that you pose this question to this couple, it has triggered this premature conversation they are to have. I think you should please save that question for when you know the couple personally, and if it's a personal question, you can ask them, but do not pose it as the first thing you should ask. We get asked this question a lot of times because now we are on YouTube and we've done interviews. And I don't know what Tom thinks of it, but personally I find it a bit uncomfortable because there is a lot of conflict around the whole religion talk. And especially when you come from India and such places, people don't know that India is diverse in religions. And so there's, first of all, a stereotype they place on you on what religion they anticipate you to be. And then when you say what you are, they ask if the other person influenced that decision. It's a personal decision, and I think no one should force someone into it. And I think it's a question that shouldn't be asked to an interracial couple who are still on the life track of figuring things out.
Yeah. Just to add, like, listen, from even my point of view, right, I am proud of what I believe in, and we are open about that kind of stuff. But when you're meeting somebody for the first time, especially the complexities that come with interracial couples, as she said, that pressure is real. That pressure is real because these are things that a lot of times with couples like us, it's one of the things that you deal with on that journey to, you know, everything actually being sealed and, you know, your wedding day and things like that. So you can add a lot of pressure. You can add a lot of tension and like, don't start off that way. It's happened many times. Don't start off that way. You just really throw them off. And when you meet people from your own race and they're in a relationship, that's not the first thing you ask them, right? Yeah. Don't do that, right? Don't do that. Number 3, stop asking one-sided questions.
Yeah, I don't know why this happens, but when we get asked questions, I am asked the difficult question of, what did your parents think? Is there anything that's wrong with this relationship according to your parents? And they don't ask Tom that question. And it's not like I want people to ask me that question, but if you're asking me, please ask my partner, because he too has parents and he too has a family and culture and all the systems he came from that hold some sort of opinions towards this. So I think it's only fair that you stop asking one person that question and ask both people in the relationship whatever their family thought about it.
Yeah, and you know, I get it. Like, a lot of times we just have these stereotypes at the back of our head, but it does something, you know, when you start a conversation off that way and you're focusing on one side, you're not helping the matter. You're just building off stereotypes and you're not seeing things from a holistic picture, right? So yeah, stop asking one-sided questions. At the end of the day, we are dealing with, and I mean we, using us as a figure of speech for people in our situation, they're both dealing with things. They're both dealing with the exact same things, right? The Nigerian, the Indian, the Ghanaian, the Chinese, the Korean. It doesn't matter what relation, the Kikuyu, the Luo, like, they're both dealing with the same things, right? The same weight, right? So yeah, don't do that. It's very it's almost
like you give power to one side and remove power from the other side by not asking their opinion. Yeah. But the relationship is made of two people. Yeah. So you need to give equal power to both of them, no matter what race they are, because we're past that point where only one person gets an opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 4, stop asking intrusive questions about their future. We get asked all the time, so how will you guys bring up your children in an interracial home? Where will you guys settle, India or Nigeria? You know, just all those very intrusive questions that honestly even just a non-interracial couple have probably not figured out in the early stages of the relationship. We're not in the early stages, but we just got engaged. So there's a lot more we need to figure out about our marriage and our life together forever. And if you ask me now what I want from my children, I can't tell you. And I think no one who's not in that position should be put in that position to be forced to tell you about their future and what they anticipate from it. And when it's an interracial couple, because of the complexities involved, that should be something they figure out on the go, and not something that should be pressured out of them to figure out right before they enter their official, life together.
Yeah, like, if somebody asks you, what kind of parent are you planning to be? You don't have the answer. You might think you have the answer, then you have a kid, and then you actually realize that, oh my God, I think maybe this style of parenting works. So obviously we want to bring our kids up in a home that loves and embraces both cultures and both of what we are. But some of these things we have to figure out, and people in this position, they're still figuring it out. So it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Don't add extra pressure. don't add extra pressure on people, because trust me guys, there are a lot of people who are going through a really, really tough time as they're trying to figure out their journey. And these are the things that, add more weight on their backs and make it actually even difficult for their relationships to see the light of day. And trust me, you'll find out that a lot of times relationships that are intercultural, interracial, don't see the light of day, not even because of pressure from families, but it's from pressure from the society. All these questions, all these expectations,
which they don't have answers
they don't
to
have
yet,
answers to, and it
which is
becomes
okay.
so much to deal with that even before you bring the family in it, you're already defeated, So, yeah, man.
There is no cheat sheet.
Yeah.
There is no there are not very many interracial couples who would open up and say how they figured this out in their life, because every family is different.
Yeah.
And so as hard as it is right now in the present moment for interracial couples to actually convince their family, convince their society, asking questions that even just a normal person on their own without being in an interracial engagement would find hard to answer, it's really unfair to ask that.
It really is, guys. And this is all coming from love, because as we say, we believe that through our unity, the world can see the power of love, the power of God's love and everything. And we really want to promote that. But these are things that seem very subtle, but man, trust me, it will put weight on people trying to figure it out, and can discourage beautiful stories from actually seeing the light of day. So don't do that. Number 5, stop asking people why they are not with their race. Man, this one, I feel like I want to fight right now, because this one gets to me. This one gets to me. On so many fronts, this is so much to unpack, I could even make this its own video. But I think, first of all, back to what I said, if your foundation for finding the person you want to spend the rest of your life with is solely based on the fact that they look like you, I think there's a problem. I think even when you look at people who are from the same race, who have been married, who are happy, the reason they got married was not primarily because of the fact they looked like each other, because the fact that they were from the same place. It's deeper than that. That is my first point. And I think personally, before even for those of you who know me and you hear the fact I always say I'm a Pan-African, that's something I'm proud about. But you see, the fact that I'm with somebody else does not diminish my blackness. I can be so pro-black about the world and want to see black excellence, and the fact that I'm with somebody from a different culture does not diminish that. In fact, the way I see it, it's giving you a platform to push that message even further, right? And I think a lot of times people they bring this thing up because they're like, I've seen this thing somewhere, comments, guys will be like, I want to preserve the culture. Okay, is culture okay, fine, you want to preserve the culture? Okay, what else? You find out that a lot of times people bring this thing up with very, very, very shallow points, right? It needs to be deeper than that. You can't preserve your culture and be with somebody else. And if the only reason why you're bringing that up is because of culture, I feel like, in fact, this is a way for us to spread the love or the story of the Tamilian people to a larger audience. This is marketing.
A perfect example is my parents are in India. So they only can see it from their context, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's where they were born. That's where they've been all their life, right? But then when they got to know Tom and interacted with Tom, obviously they acknowledged the fact that he's not Indian. He's not our brown person. But then when the George Floyd case happened, they took so much interest in it, right? And my mom was so unhappy. She was like, why would they do that? And she would call me every other time, and as she was talking to me, she would bring up these cases, and she's like, did you know this also happened?
Yeah.
And I truly feel it impacted her, because she knows she has a son who is of that color, and she obviously cares for this son, and she wouldn't want anyone who looks like him to get hurt, and neither should he. She might not be able to put the words in that sense, but the whole aspect of this relationship has taken this movement to my family and my movement to his family, and spreads further with our children and with the community, and even more than you could even quantify. You might not even see it happening, But it's happening because you're together.
Yeah.
And this is not to say that you go and find an a different race and
Just,
get married.
yeah,
No,
come on.
do what you feel right in your heart. If you
Yeah.
think this person's the right person, whether they are your race or they're not, be with that person. Because there's God there, there's God's love there, and you can spread everything through that relationship that you have with them.
Yeah, and you see, like at the end of the day, but even that same point, even with what's going on in India with the farmers, like it's given me a level of awareness and a level of empathy that I would have not had if we were not together, because I would have never.
You'd have heard of it.
I would have heard of it, but hey, like just world news. But like now, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on down there? You know, these are people that might be an extension of our family and everything. And I think one point I want to just really bring out is the fact that as an individual, you can be passionate about movements, you can be passionate about what you want to do, but that should never stop you from being with who you love just because they don't look like your movement. I feel like there's something fundamentally flawed with that. Yeah, I hope you see, like, this is coming from like a real place, because we're both passionate and patriotic, right? And I feel like I've appreciated my culture even more with you. You know, you can take things for granted when you're alone, but I appreciate my culture even more because, like, the fact that we're so different, it forces you to look, okay, what else do you guys do? Okay, what else do you guys do? And you look inward and you learn even more. Like, I'm getting better at even my language just because of her. I see how well she speaks Tamil and I'm just like, wow, you know, and it's making me really work harder to up my Yoruba game and everything. So yeah, like, listen, I think that's something that I really hope people down the line would really appreciate, that you can be patriotic and you can preserve culture and your people. But there's so many ways to do that. And if you end up with somebody who doesn't look like you, that doesn't mean that the things that you stand for will end. It actually means that God has given you a bigger platform to be who you are. So
yeah, and if you ask me why I'm not with an Indian, I don't know.
Good
I don't
one.
have an answer, and neither would he if you
I don't
ask
have an
him.
answer, exactly.
So please stop asking the interracial couple why they're not with their respective races, because for sure they don't have an answer.
Yeah.
And it's a wrong question to ask someone that.
Yeah. I feel like we've just given birth to 5 babies.
Yeah. Now that we've said that, we acknowledge that people are curious.
Yeah.
We're in that age where more interracial couples are on the internet.
Exactly.
And I understand there's curiosity. I have that curiosity. I probably still do when I see different races.
Yeah.
But please guard yourself from having to ask them these
Yeah.
questions, and maybe save them for people you might really know closely, like your friends and family.
Yeah.
And be empathetic towards the situation. Find the right moment to ask these questions. Do not ask them in public in front of others, because they'd be pressured to give you a quick answer and they would regret it and go to bed with a heavy heart, and something may happen along the way to that beautiful relationship they're building. So just tread carefully with interracial couples. You know, give them their space, let them figure it out.
And also intercultural couples, because
Yes.
it happens. This truth is, what interracial couples go through, intercultural couples go through as well. Especially in our case, we are an interracial and intercultural couple, and trust me, intercultural problems are the same everywhere, whether you're a Nigerian and an Indian, Igbo, Yoruba, Luo, Kikuyu, it's the same thing all around the world. So yeah, guys, we love you. Thank you so much, and please be our ambassadors to help push this message out, because it might sound subtle, but yeah, it really does. Yeah, it's very, very important.
We felt strongly to make this video.
Very, very strongly.
Because I think we've gone through quite a number of these questions over and over again. And at the end of the day, I felt a bit sick, like physically sick. And I knew that meant it was affecting me mentally. Because I didn't have all the answers, and I felt I needed to have the answers. And I looked at people around me living their life on the go, and I wanted to be like them. Be like, how is it okay that they don't have answers, but I need to have everything right now today? So, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. We love you. Like, subscribe. See you guys next week. God bless. Bye. Number one, stop asking people to hook you up with friends. Oh, can I? Hook it up with people from their purpose. Okay. Number one, stop asking people to hook you up with people.
What's wrong, baby?
I'm trying to get it. I'm meant to get it up.
Stop asking people to hook you up with the race of your partner.
Yes, asking people to hook you up with the race. Okay. Ready?